Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of Thick Sustainable Infrastructure Finance. Thickness, what it is and why we feel it's critical. If you've been following our channel, you've seen and heard the term thick or thickness applied as a qualifier to infrastructure projects and programs. We've adopted this term for very specific and meaningful reasons. On today's episode, I will provide a thorough explanation of what we mean by thick or thickness and how it sets apart the most important and impactful projects in our efforts to build the bridge to a sustainable future. I'll begin with what exactly thick sustainable infrastructure is, where the concept came from, and why it is critical in our view. Then I will move on to how we apply the concept to our investment strategies. So let's begin. Regardless of global warming views, it's clear that the infrastructure that supported the lifestyle we all grew up with is outdated. And whatever the reasons, terrible storms and other natural phenomena threaten the safety of people all over the globe with more and more regularity. Many people who are not engineers or investment managers like John and Bill are hoping to put their hard-earned money behind sustainability efforts to help deliver the most beneficial outcomes for them, their children, and for generations to come. This chart shows the flows of funds coming into the ESG space from those looking to make a real difference. And in looking around for truly differentiated options for investment, they see the financial markets flooded with green and ESG investment products. But it's difficult to know just how environmentally beneficial any particular investment is. Ensuring that the most effective and truly sustainable new systems are funded is critical. We don't have the time or the money to get this wrong. Evaluating the universe of systems, programs, and projects coming online to ensure their efficacy is a complex, nuanced, and constantly evolving challenge. How should the evaluation process be organized, scoped, and implemented? How can we standardize the process so that there is a universal understanding of how the relative benefits of these many opportunities compare? How do we know where the funds are best utilized today and tomorrow? Beyond labels, scientific assessment of the relative environmental benefit of a green or ESG investment can provide critical insights, and this is where thickness comes in. A seminal work by Robert Voss offers key foundational principles for a robust and essential evaluation methodology for quantifying sustainability. It facilitates comparisons between the myriad of projects and programs underway. Our standards for thickness and related evaluation processes are extrapolated from Voss's work. His work identifies a shifting paradigm. For centuries, a human-dominant paradigm has existed, where man viewed nature as a limitless resource to be used or removed for human benefit without concern for long-term consequences. More recently, as the consequences of that paradigm have become more and more apparent, we have begun to shift to a new way of thinking about nature, one where nature is a finite resource and natural capital must be managed and considered, much like human capital and financial capital. This shift in thinking introduces supply and demand dynamics, scarcity concerns, and their related risks, and ultimately leads to an understanding that we must strive for a new paradigm, one where no overall diminution in the value of natural capital is passed down to future generations. This is the sustainable world. This orientation resonates with the Bertland Commission's seminal work of 1987. Our common future. They define sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to have the same options. Current uses of the term sustainable and sustainability don't necessarily meet this high standard, so we've added thickness as a very relevant modifier. Thickness, in terms of sustainability, is a measure of the level of protection, preservation, and restoration of the environment that can or will be provided by a specific infrastructure program or project, where thicker is better. It is the yardstick by which we measure infrastructure projects and identify those that offer optimized environmental benefits today and into the future. So that is what thickness is and where we got the term. So now, how do we go about quantifying thickness in infrastructure? We score both restorative and resilient infrastructure projects. As you can see in the diagram, restorative projects preserve and restore natural capital, moving us closer to a balanced relationship with the environment, while resilient projects adapt to and mitigate the urgent symptoms of climate change, including natural disasters and resource depletion. Scoping, organizing, and standardizing the components of thickness in a proposed restorative infrastructure project begins with quantifying the expected environmental impacts over time of each component relative to 4 basic forms of natural capital: energy, water, habitat, and atmosphere. For resilient infrastructure projects, we look at the key attributes of resilient infrastructure: integration, reflectiveness and adaptability, robustness, and resourcefulness, and measure these in each component of a proposed project to quantify the actual expected resiliency offered over time relative to each of the 4 attributes. From there, systematic measurement of the actual outcomes of each component, and if necessary, the implementation of adjustments along the way, are essential throughout the lifetime of a project. Specifically, we have developed a scoring system that rates the thickness of sustainable infrastructure projects from +10 to -10, where 0 is neutral. And it identifies projects and systems that offer the levels of thickness that truly move the needle towards sustainability as defined by the Bertland Commission. The data necessary to compile a reliable thickness score is difficult to gather, and the evaluation process is nuanced, dependent on the context and geography of the project, and it's time sensitive, making our commitment extensive. Over time, participants in the capital market may create a standardized system for measurement for all of us to use, but for now, it is up to us to identify and select for the projects that provide the thickest sustainable infrastructure possible. In our thickness calculations, impacts can offset each other or be additive to one another, so the total score divided by the applicable components is the number we work with. Our target score for investment is a +5 or better. Some aspects of a plan generate a negative score that is offset by other aspects, resulting in a positive score that meets or surpasses our target. This allows us to invest in the good as we wait for the more perfect options to come online. An example of this is our short-term strategy of investing in thick, sustainable nuclear electricity, while the harmful impact of continued CO2-emitting coal-fired electricity production outweighs the challenges of nuclear waste storage. Check out episode 6 for a detailed explanation of this strategy. In other episodes, we show detailed case studies illustrating real-world examples of thick versus thin sustainable infrastructure investments. One case study you might find useful is episode 3, Thick Restorative Water Infrastructure. And in addition, episode 4, Oceans of Emotion and Thimblefuls of Data, describes our thickness scoring process in greater detail relative to specific case studies. We hope that this helps to clarify that thickness is a critical distinction within and beyond ESG, beyond green, beyond impact, or any other qualifier used to describe sustainable infrastructure investment opportunities. If you or your clients want to drive the change necessary to build the bridge to a sustainable future, look for thickness in your sustainable infrastructure investment opportunities. If you found this video to be informative, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Please feel free to contact us through this channel or by visiting our website at www.zieglercap.sustainability to learn more, ask questions, and engage in the dialogue. Thanks for your time today.